Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Sim. Thank you so much for the support. I hope you all are doing great. I do not know how some people could be very selfish, self centered, and all of it. At first, they thought they were punishing Black people because Black people are usually the ones going through it. You know, to them, let's punish Black people, not knowing that the universe has a way of doing their thing and they did it at the right time too. Because literally every video here are videos of people going through it, white people. Tell me how your child is blind. I mean, you have two children. All of them they are disabled, right? And they are all on Medicaid. You are the one taking care of them. You probably do not have that huge job there, but they are all on Medicaid. Now you are screaming that the Medicaid is being cut, that you don't have. See, I don't know how I am going to have the right to change my child's life, right? And I choose to punish my child because at this point, this is what it's screaming. Go heaven and come back. This is a typical example of what that summarizes what most white people did the last election. And look at all the videos, they are all screaming. Let's get into this video.
These rural towns, mostly in red states, are really about to be in the find out. First, let me tell you what the Trump administration did with this big, beautiful bill that they think is pretty slick. You see, most of these things with Medicaid cuts aren't going to go into effect until 3.5 years down the line. When is that? When Donald Trump is no longer president. You see, he doesn't want to be able to take credit. He doesn't want anyone to blame him for hospitals closing and people losing their Medicaid. So he delayed everything until he's out of office. And so what he gets to do with this is he gets to say that, oh, all of the things that are happening to these hospitals and with Medicaid and everything, that's all Joe Biden's fault, because my stuff doesn't kick in for 3 years. Then when it were to kick in, if it is to kick in, it's going to get worse. So for the most part, the next president, probably a Democrat, is going to have to come in and overturn all the things that he did just so people don't lose their Medicaid and a lot of these hospitals don't close up. But unfortunately, many of these hospitals are anticipating what's to come, and they're already planning that they're going to have to close up in the next 3 to 7 years. But you have J.D. Vance out there, of course, blaming Joe Biden for everything that's going on right now during the Trump administration, and out here saying that they put in provisions and they put in fail-safes so that rural hospitals won't have to close. Meanwhile, rural hospitals are planning on closing. So let's listen to J.D. Vance with this bullshit talking about they're saving rural hospitals when we know that's not the truth. First of all, let me point out, did you notice when he was saying all the bullshit, all the stuff none of these people have ever heard of, he got no applause at all. So then he decided to go to the Trump card. He went to the card, the ace of spades, which is the racism. He's like, nobody's cheering when I'm talking about healthcare and Medicaid and rural hospitals. You know what? Illegal aliens need to get the hell out of here. We want them out of here. We're getting the Mexican people out of here. And then all of a sudden the racists are like, yeah, because they know that. They understand the racism. That's the part they love the most about Donald Trump. You see, policy means nothing to them. They don't care that their gas prices and grocery prices are still going up. They don't care about that. They care that, one, they think they're owning the libs, and two, the racism. They like the fact that J.D. Vance and Donald Trump are as racist as they are. And let me point something else out. He's talking about all the problems during the Biden administration. You know what? If you Google rural hospital closures during Biden's administration, you don't find a bunch of articles about that. But during the Trump administration, you find a bunch of articles about rural hospitals that are anticipating having to close, and it is because of the cuts to Medicaid in the big, beautiful bill. That is the only reason. That's the only reason they cite when they talk about their rural hospitals closing. Don't believe me? Here's a video of a news station talking about a hospital closing in their area because of all the cuts to Medicaid. The fact that this administration is trying to claim that this isn't happening when we could easily access the information that proves it's happening right now is fucking crazy. But this is how dumb they know the MAGAs are. And if that's not enough for you, here's another article about 9 rural hospitals in Illinois that are also at risk of being closed, along with a video that talks about how the big beautiful bill is cutting millions of people off of their Medicaid. So I have an update on an FAFO that I brought you guys a few weeks ago that I'd say you're not going to believe, but you're going to believe it, because what it really does is it reaffirms everything we've been saying about these people since day one. You guys remember the Erickson family, right? Casper Erickson, Savannah Erickson, and their 5 children. Well, Casper Erickson came here years ago from Denmark on a student visa. During that time, he met Savannah Erickson. They started dating. At some point, he went back home, then came back here, married Savannah Erickson, and they had 5 kids. 15 years ago, Casper Erickson forgot to finish some paperwork for his legal status here in America. So fast forward 15 years later, he tells his wife, hey, I'm going to make an appointment, go and get this all checked out, make sure I'm all good, and then I'll come back and we'll go on vacation or whatever these people do, right? He goes to his immigration appointment. While he's there, he is detained. He's thrown in a detention center in Louisiana. Savannah Erickson didn't hear from him for 24 to 48 hours. Then she finds out he's detained in this detention center. And oh, did I forget to tell you, they're huge Trump supporters. You go to their Facebook, their Instagram, their X, they bash Democrats all the time. They consider themselves Christian conservative Republicans who support Donald Trump and the Second Amendment, and they bash Kamala Harris and all this, and they are all for Donald Trump's immigration stuff, right? So when I brought you that story, I said, who the hell cares? He is getting exactly what his wife voted for. They stood around, heard Donald Trump saying mass deportations now. They were cheering that shit on, probably sat in their living room with their 5 kids and watched brown people being detained and cheered that shit on. And now Casper is sitting in a detention center. And I said, and most of you said, who gives a damn? We don't care about them. And even after hearing the story that his wife, who has no job skill, was a stay-at-home mom who homeschooled their kids or whatever, now she's struggling because her husband, who was the breadwinner, is sitting in a detention center. So her friends and family members set up a GoFundMe account for her and all that, and they were all just so upset that this was happening to that family. Every single one of them, once they caught wind of people like myself making videos and saying they're getting what they voted for, who the hell cares? They were all mad. They were like, how can you guys say this? How can you not have empathy for them? And we're like, have empathy for them? They voted for this shit. Casper should have freaking turned around and handcuffed himself for the ICE agents, because this is what he wanted. This is exactly what he wanted. And then I find out in the comments that many of these people who are friends with them were saying things like, oh, well, this was supposed to be for all the people who don't speak Spanish in our country, and they should be gone, but not Casper. So they were being racist while this guy is being detained. Here's the freaking update for you guys. These people were recently interviewed. Casper and Savannah, both interviewed, right? Again, Casper is sitting still 2 months later in a detention center, waiting to be, processed and deported, right? His wife is at home trying to figure out how to feed their children right now, all because he voted for a man who used his mass deportation stuff to have him detained and now be sitting, waiting to be processed and deported. They were asked, do you guys still support Donald Trump? Guess what they said? They do. They still support Donald Trump. They're not happy that Casper's sitting in a detention center, but they still support him. They support his mass deportations because they do believe that people who are brown and speak Spanish should be out of the country. You see, Casper passes as an American blonde-haired, blue-eyed white person, right? His wife is blonde-haired and blue-eyed. His kids are all blonde-haired and blue-eyed. They thought this shit wouldn't happen to them because they're racist white people who only wanted to see it happen to brown people. So Casper is in a detention center while his wife and children could be starving. And he's like, yeah, I still support the guy. And his wife, who is probably starving, trying to figure out how to feed her 5 children, is also saying, I still support the guy. And people were really asking me, why am I being so just mean-spirited to these people? Why am I so apathetic to these people? I don't give a damn. I don't care. I absolutely hope they freaking deport his ass. I hope he ends up back in Denmark wondering how he's ever going to see his wife and his 5 children. I hope his wife at some point just has to find a way to sell everything they own just to get herself and their 5 kids to Denmark to be with their dad. I do not care about these people. If this guy gets out of that detention center and gets to come home, he is still a racist who hates brown people, who wants to see these people being deported. Why the hell would I care about them? I laugh every single time I think about him sitting in a detention center with a bunch of brown people speaking Spanish while he's pissed off that he has to be in there with them. I hope they're treating him like shit. I hope he's cold as hell every single night before he goes to bed. I don't care. I mean, and I'm telling you guys right now, there are things that I hope on him that I can't even say on this freaking channel. But just understand, I hate these people. These are the worst people in the freaking world. I don't care that their friends are out there crying because, oh, their dad isn't. I don't give a damn. They voted for this. He's getting what he voted for. And they wish the worst for people who are just good people trying to live their lives. They wish the worst for them, so I wish the same for these people. My goodness, the guy is sitting in a freaking detention center and he's still saying, I support Donald Trump. That is what a cult is. That is what white supremacy is. That is what being such a racist is, that even when you are down, you still think brown people are still beneath you. Fuck these people. I hate them. Period.
This Republican town is finding out the hard way. St. George, Utah voted overwhelmingly for Trump not once, but twice, likely believing his agenda would bring fewer regulations, less woke spending, and more real infrastructure investment. But instead, their city just lost almost $88 million in federal funding for a critical transportation project, all thanks to a GOP law that Trump proudly signed. The money was supposed to help reconnect neighborhoods divided by the increasingly congested I-15. The highway cuts right through the city, creating daily traffic and safety concerns. But that funding vanished after Republicans targeted a Biden-era grant program, because it included goals like improving equity, walkability, and access in historically underserved areas. Even local Republican officials are calling the loss heartbreaking. The project wasn't about having any type of ideology. It was about fixing roads, building bridges, and improving the daily life of their residents. But of course, in their rush to cancel anything with the word equity in it, Republicans in St. George, Utah ended up cutting infrastructure improvements in their own community. And of course, those Republicans will say, well, we didn't know it'd affect us. We thought it'd affect everybody else. And the craziest part is we tried to warn them, but they're too big of idiots to even understand unless it affects them directly. And the even crazier part, instead of blaming the man directly responsible, they blame someone else. Similar cuts have hit conservative districts in Kentucky, Montana, and Maryland. Projects that would have made streets safer, connected communities, and created jobs were defunded. And not because they weren't needed, but because they were tied to wokeness. So when Trump and his allies are saying they're putting America first, it's worth asking, why are Republican towns seemingly the only ones paying the price? Why are the communities that were most loyal to him getting punished the most for it? Republicans, we knew you'd find out the hard way. Now stop crying about it. You're getting what you voted for. This conservative mom is finding out the hard way. Rachel is a Republican from North Carolina. She's a mom to a severely disabled son named David. He can't walk, talk, eat on his own, or see well. He needs constant care, medical equipment, therapies, and surgeries just to survive. And Medicaid pays for all of it, including a wage for Rachel so she can take care of David at home. But now, you could probably guess, after voting for a party that's been cutting Medicaid for years, she's realizing those cuts are hitting her family now. She voted to take Medicaid away from other disabled people, never thinking the GOP would take it away from her son. Federal funding is being cut thanks to Trump's policies. North Carolina is cutting even more. And services like the one that pays her, David's therapists, and his doctors are all facing an over 10% pay cut. Even bigger losses are coming down the road with a projected $1.1 billion in reductions. She wrote, Medicaid is David's village. Hey, Rachel, why'd you vote to burn it down then? In the same opinion piece that she wrote, Fishing for Sympathy, she says, I have a pen, and you have a phone, a voice, and a vote. David has none of those things. If you still believe that your dollars should go to care for people who can't care for themselves, then you have a moral responsibility to charity. Medicaid is that charity. If you're a conservative, the absolute last things you should be talking about are charity and morality. The administration you literally voted in is the complete opposite of having great morals and being charitable. Rachel, you voted for the politician that vowed to get rid of the programs that you and your family depend on. What a moron. You voted for a political party that sees David as nothing more than a budget problem. Some of the last people that Republicans ever want to help are people like David. She never thought the cuts would affect her family, but now they are. David doesn't have a vote, but she did, and she voted to support people cutting him off. Now I hope you enjoy giving your son the life that you voted for. This Republican husband in Missouri is finding out the hard way. James Brown is a Navy veteran in Missouri. He voted for Trump thinking he was supporting tough immigration enforcement going after criminals. But not people like his wife. His wife, Donna Hughes Brown, has been a legal permanent resident for over 37 years. She immigrated from England when she was 11, raised 4 kids here, has 5 grandkids, and regularly volunteers in her community, running food pantries, helping single moms, and she even helps organize hurricane relief drives. But none of that mattered. She was detained by federal agents at O'Hare Airport after a vacation in Ireland, all because of a misdemeanor in 2015. She was held for 5 days in Chicago, then transferred to a Kentucky detention center. Her bond hearing was delayed, and when it finally happened, DHS lawyers said the new laws meant that the judge couldn't release her. She was denied bond again on August 26th. Now she has no future court date. If deported, she's banned from returning for 10 years. And of course, James now says that he regrets his Trump vote 100%. James is probably thinking, well, I didn't think it was going to be my wife getting deported. What the heck? James says the administration isn't targeting the worst first. We've been telling you guys that since the beginning, but you don't listen. Trump made it more than clear that lawful immigrants with minor infractions were fair game. James must really hate his wife to vote for the guy that's kicking his wife out of the country. And now that James is getting what he voted for, his wife has to pay the price.
Meet James Brown and Donna Hughes Brown, today's winners of Fuck Around and Find Out. James is a United States military veteran from the Navy, and his wife Donna is a legal resident originally from the United Kingdom. Well, his wife Donna was detained by immigration after returning from a trip from Ireland. Well, it looks like James is having some voter regret after he voted for this administration, where he says in an interview with Newsweek that he 100% regrets his vote. He says, you look at the news and they're not telling the truth about what's actually happening to a lot of legal immigrants. What's bad is that President Orange Man is so demeaning to people, and he's so condescending and so retaliatory to people that are afraid to say anything. And his wife Donna's detention looks like it stems from a misdemeanor offense back from 2015, with no specifics as to what happened originally. And it looks like they also have a GoFundMe to help them with their legal issues. Now, I'm not exactly sure why he's complaining as he voted for this, but to be honest, we really know what happened. He was expecting it to happen to other people and not himself. But FAFO, my friend.
This is all I got from this video. You see this, I don't know if this could be a lesson to some people, because I think everything going on today is a very teachable moment. Why am I saying it's a very teachable moment? It's a very teachable moment because life is lifing. Now, a lot of people are finding so many things hard. The fact, I don't know, but it's really crazy because this Medicaid was not something that started today. I hope you guys understand this. Medicaid, before election, people knew, black people knew. They made it known. They talked about it. They screamed it. They shouted it. It's something that was not hidden. It was obvious that Medicaid will be cut, right? And you all know how important Medicaid is. That is how insane it is that each time I think about it, I'm like, so how would somebody let go of something that they know it's so vital to them? Because Medicaid is very vital. I don't know, I'm not just trying to stereotype. One thing I know America for is that there are so many kinds of sicknesses. Even the one that you've never heard before. I'm sorry to say this, but I am also not sorry because it's true. Even the one you've never heard before, it's been diagnosed there. You will hear names and you are like, what is this? There are some yesterday that I was going through. I was like, what? I mean, a boy that was, I don't know, I think he's about how many years, and all of a sudden his head started jerking, he started jerking his head and all that. And I'm like, what kind of thing is this? They diagnosed that and they called it something. I don't know, but it's not like I am saying that, in Africa, and it's a white boy. It's not like I'm saying in Africa we don't fall sick. Sincerely speaking, we fall sick. But there are some sicknesses we rarely see. So also finding out that you have, like in your family, there are conditions. It's just like there is difference between me not knowing that I maybe, just example, that you will have a child maybe with autistic. This is an example, please, right? Then you know that I have a child and my child is autistic. The difference is clear, right? So having a child that is autistic, it means you have to do everything possible to make sure that the child gets all the necessary and adequate medical health care he or she needs, right? But you saw your condition. Some of them do not have, the parents are the sole responsibility that most child cannot move. They can't do anything. The parents have to be with them and all that. And they are on Medicaid. And you still voted for Trump. What will happen today? What is going to happen at this point in time? Man, I have never seen people that are so careless. Because see, do not say it is careless attitude, very careless attitude. And now everybody's screaming. Like literally all these videos. And there are so many more videos that I did not bring. These ones are recent, very recent, this month. Right? All those videos, all these things are happening. People finding out that they messed up their votes just because you are selfish. Sincerely speaking, let me tell you guys this. At first, they thought it was never ever going to affect them. That was the major key points to hold here. It was never going to affect them. That was it. But now, it is affecting them. Man, I don't know if some people are going to learn, but I cannot be the one to teach you. You have to learn by yourself. I am going to draw the curtain here, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye for now.